first on the list is actually getting the land from very reputable sources. So in Ghana, about 80% of our lands are traditional lands under the ownerships of chiefs, traditional leaders, kingsmen, and various families. So only 20% of the land is actually owned by the government. That's why we tend to have loads of land litigation issues. Do all this due diligence needed when you're in the process of actually purchasing a land. So a quick tip, never be enticed by any land deals without doing all the proper checks or verifications with the Lands Commission. I mean, if it's too good to be true, it's probably not true. You definitely thank me later. So there used to be 10 regions in Ghana, but it's been recently divided or subdivided into 16 regions now. Within these regions, they all have municipal districts or metropolitan assemblies. Now, the only reason why I make mention of this is that land registration offices should be in every region or district. It's down to you who's actually buying the land to make the necessary inquiries, look out for where these offices are. You go in and there's a process you follow to find out exactly who actually owns the land that you are trying to purchase. Please ensure you follow these steps. You make sure you acquaint yourself with the registration office within that district that you are planning or intending to buy that parcel of land, and then you go through the process and do all the necessary verifications and checks just to ascertain the true ownership of the land before you can progress further with payments or commitments or anything of that sort. There's a link in the description for Ghana Lands Commission. Now their services range from 100 cedis upwards depending on what type of verification or documents you are after. Now this whole process can be a very tedious one. So again, just be very, very patient. I mean, you could always move things a bit faster if you say, for instance, offer tea or coffee to an official, Once verification is complete, there are 3 more steps for the actual registration. The first is just basically registering all the documents. The second is the stamp duty. All that it is just basically stamping documents to say, yes, we are aware there's been a transfer or there's been a sale of a parcel of land. And the last one is just being issued with a letter and a card to say, yes, indeed, all the due processes has been followed. So as it stands currently, foreigners can buy lands in Ghana for up to 50 years leasehold, subject to renewal of the land by the landowners. Citizens can again, or full Ghanaians could also purchase lands for 99 years, subject to renewal by again the landowners. So just be mindful of all of this. The land is duly registered in your name, but there's one more step or thing to do before any work can start. You need to put in a building permit, or you need to apply for a building permit. This just informs the district or the relevant bodies that indeed you're going to build an apartment with a certain kind of building materials, the dimensions, etc., etc. Again, this is also to protect you from being harassed when you start working. There's loads of cases where land guards or unscrupulous people just turn up when work starts, claiming all sorts of monies just because you don't have the necessary documents. And in extreme instances, the district or municipal authority can actually demolish your property. So just make sure you apply for this building permit, and again, that should not take too long for you to obtain or get. Once you have this building permit, you can just go ahead and start with your project. Quick tip, we can now start work, but make sure you always go with builders that are highly recommended. Again, you'd have to do your search, and just always make sure you have an opinion from a few people. So the finished house should look something similar to this. This is the site plan. This is the title deed or indenture. This is the building plan as well. More of the building plan. This is the stamp duty. And this is the building permit. We profiled and did some knocking down of the pegs just to have a feel and scope of the plot. And just because we made a mistake of actually doing the project during the rainy season, the ground was soft. The first track got stuck. It rained over the number of days, which delayed the progress we were planning to make. And eventually I had to hire a water pump to pump out the excess water, all at an additional cost. So, my advice here is that don't just go for holidays in December just to party, but that is the perfect time to start off your project. We also had to lay a damp-proof membrane in the trenches. Others prefer to lay the membrane when it's all cast. But, you do this to prevent damp from rising. So I was told the rains will not come, but guess what? It rained last night, and we had to manually take the water out this time around. I said I wasn't going to hire a water pump. So we've got the machine on site to, begin working on casting the pillars to the foundation. And you could see it's nice, bright and sunny today. So at least we could do some work. So as you can see, we are laying all the blocks. I believe the plan was to raise the foundation, so we're going to go for 8 courses. It's just to get a feel of the building. Just make sure you know exactly what's happening with your project. Now, I believe on this project I have 22 pillars. So these are just little things that you should all have in the back of your mind when you're planning out your project. It's just something good to know, something useful. No number of frames, window panels, all these things. Just have that in the back of your mind. It helps a lot. And then we could always make lots of adjustments and changes to the plan as we build along. but it's good to be fully aware of every sort of detail about your plan or project or your building. I mean, it's yours, you live in eventually, so it's only good, it's only right that you're on top of all these things. So you could see the foundation is raised and is taking shapes. You could start to see the various rooms. It's coming along nicely. And we are casting all the pillars now, all the 22 pillars on this building. It's all being cast. Rock solid. You know, every good building should have a very solid, stable foundation. It's very necessary to withstand all the elements and forces when they do come. So just pay particular attention to your foundation. You know, these days people go for beams, which obviously is very cost effective, but at the same time you're cutting a lot of corners using beams rather than going by the old traditional model. So we are about to hardcore fill the foundation now. Initially the plan was we estimated it was going to take 10 trips, but we ended up using 12 trips. So after hardcore filling the foundation, the two things that has to be done before it could be finally overcast. The first is that we'd have to compact the hardcore material. With that, there's two options. You allow the elements or rain to fall, and then eventually these materials get compacted naturally and evenly, or you otherwise hire a compactor at a cost. Now I decided going with the very first option, decided for the rains to come and do its own thing, and then obviously we could just go ahead, level it all up, which is the second stage to the process, and then finally do the overcast. Another tipper load of hardcore material being delivered to the site. You know, these things can add up, so just be mindful of all the costs. Now, it could turn out to be an expensive venture if you do not do things properly or plan out properly. So obviously this is the very first stage, which is the substructure. I'm going to bring you another video where you'd see obviously the superstructure, the blocks being laid, the lintel level. Now obviously it's a story building, so we'll show you the beam level and then finally the roofing. And then the very last stage obviously is the finishing. Now that is where you put in all your detailing to make sure the product is delivered according to what it says on the tin. In a nutshell, this is all it takes in setting up a foundation properly. I will run you through all the costs. Going by the current exchange rate, it shouldn't be too far off from these figures. Bear in mind, all of this was just done in the last few months. So I made some savings on the initial estimate by taking out the logistics and miscellaneous expenditure. I did a little bit of subtraction, and I came up with a grand total of 54,917 cedis, which is approximately £6,800. But you know what, let's just call that 7 grand for now. Please do me a big favor and smash that like button, share, comment and subscribe.